The area to the far left that I have outlined in orange ink is a four-wheel drive trail that I did on my mountain bike. Elephant Hill is the jumping off point for that. Now, starting at Elephant Point, we go up an extremely steep hill and go down an extremely steep and rugged hill that four-wheel drives use to wreck their vehicles with. And then, just so you're aware, we'll be going off to the left along the one-way route, and then we take a right at that campground, and then follow that arrow along that one way, and then come back to the road that we started off on from Elephant Hill and go back up that steep hill. This is the Elephant Hill four-wheel drive trail, and it is the most wicked, most destructive, difficult trail for four-wheel drivers that there is in Utah. And you're looking at a relatively easy part. This part here, almost like a freeway. If my memory serves me correct, what we'll see on the other side going down is even worse. Again, this part here is kind of like a freeway, but here you start to see the absurdity of it, and there the real absurdity of it. I don't know, I guess they could drive up that one. I don't know anybody could drive up there. Maybe they can, but you can see from the tire tracks they come down. I'm guessing from the black, which I assume is burnt rubber, they go up there too. My goal as a 68-year-old is to get up it. The young guns have to go up it with macho. I don't need macho. My goal is just to get up it, get down it, and then do the loop, which I think from my memory was much nicer. Now this part of the trail is more to my liking. Okay, this sign is perhaps one of the great signs of understatement, because down this hill, as my memory serves me, I stood off to the side and watched people drive their brand new four-wheel drive, whatever it was, from frame drop to rock to frame drop to rock. In other words, you come off of a rock and your whole vehicle drops down to the next rock on its frame. What I wonder about is who were the poor suckers that bought those vehicles when they sold them. I, of course, with great bravado, will walk down this hill. My guess is that there is little way that my camera can do justice to the tyranny of this hill. The irony is, throughout this hill, there are patches of cement and asphalt, as though, quote-unquote, they were actually trying to repair it. Okay, here's another section of it. It's not too bad. Steep, but they have cleaned it up with asphalt or cement. It's steep enough that I have concerns just walking down it with my bike. Another particularly nasty, gnarly spot. I just wish there were someone here that could take my camera and videotape me carefully walking my bicycle down through this as a beautiful, humorous counterpoint to the incredible effort of people taking their four-wheelers down and up it. This sign suggests the warning or the advice, pull in and back down, presumably keeping the engine in the front. If it's really steep, will keep you from tipping literally over backwards. And a few feet further on, for those who are going up, it suggests that they pull into here and then back up the rest. Wow. Again, I'm not sure if the camera will do justice to the steepness and the ruggedness of these steps. Again, it doesn't seem as bad as what I recall seeing 15 years ago. I could be wrong. Okay, almost to the bottom where our hero, me, starts his ride. But here we can see if you can get a sense of the ruggedness of this trail. Here's some oil and some more oil spots further up the hill, which is no surprise. I suppose this is what four-wheel drive manufacturers build their vehicles for, or at least they're supposed to. Seems insane to me. Another obvious question is what happens if it breaks down? You know, you bust a transmission or a rear end. Does they have a tow truck that can handle this? I would doubt it. Do they have like an extra long cable on a tow truck nearby that can reach down this hill and drag you all the way up? Imagine what your towing costs would be for that one. Okay, now we are here for my second and primary objective, and that is to drive a loop along the four-wheel drive road, which I recall being much more appealing and gentle to someone of my lack of courage. The beauty of this mountain bike ride for me is it's about a 10-mile ride. I'm the first one on the trail, apparently. It takes me into the backcountry where it would be hard for me to hike that distance, particularly in any kind of a reasonable amount of time. And so I get back into a quiet, pretty little valley like this that really is divorced from most of the tourists will never get here. Most of the visitors, I mean, will never get here. First of all, they'll never get down that hill. Okay, this one way do not enter, I think, is the juncture that you see right there. I just came from the right where it says Elephant Hill. I drove to Elephant Hill and walked up that steep part. So I think we're at that juncture there, and I'm going to be making the loop which goes to the left and should be coming back out here. It's interesting. There's what appears to be a jet contrail. It looks like it's going to or coming from the moon. It's so lovely to be back in this valley area and nobody's here. I need to kick some realism into this. Parts of this trail are very nice, very gentle, and very easy to ride, very confident to ride them. But you have to be careful as a mountain biker of sand, because deep sand like this will catch your tire just like that and do what that bike just did. And the faster you're going, the faster it'll happen. If you're strong and young, you can counter some of that and power your way through. I have none of those attributes. The other thing is you do have to be careful about running into rocks that you can't power yourself over, particularly if they occur just around the corner. So when that happens, I take my foot off one of the pedals so I'm ready to drop down to the ground immediately. Another steep hill I gotta walk up. How peaceful this valley is, probably most of the time. And if you have a permit, I think they will let you camp back in here. Now here's an example of two mountain bikers who had the power to not only go through a little bit of sand, but the guy on the right apparently went through a deep sand. That's a phenomenal amount of power, which I don't have. So I'm walking through this area. But what's the difference between a bike ride and a hike? Climbing up out of this canyon. And here, what must be terrific to watch after a great storm is a big, broad waterfall drop off. More rugged four-wheel drive trail. As you can see, this is also a hill that's, I would think, pretty darn challenging. And here over to the side, a little wash-off canyon. Huh. And in the back, one of the landforms that defines this Needles. Okay, now we're at Devil's Kitchen. Well, at that intersection, and I'll turn right, and we go 9/10 of a mile, and then turn right again on Devil's Lane. Okay, now I'm over here where Devil's Lane, 1.6 miles. I'll turn right and go down this broad valley. And it goes to the Confluence Overlook ultimately, but I will probably turn right at the New Bates Wilson campground area and come back up to Elephant Hill. I'm looking north now towards the confluence in this beautiful broad valley. I'll pan down. It's in between these two large escarpments. I've met one other vehicle. They're a nice couple. And I came down from the left, and what you can see is the hint of a canyon there. Those are the Needles. Now I'll pan back up the side of the valley. This was a nice flat run, so I actually could get a continuous ride, which is not the point, but it's nice little enjoyable benefit. Another kind of cactus. I'll pull in a little closer. Here's a fun little avenue through the rocks. Looking back now towards the needles along this trail, now I'm looking almost to the west-northwest now. And I think I almost remember this place right here. I think from this point on there's a considerable amount of rock riding. At this point I turn right to go back to Elephant Hill, or I could go ahead to Confluence Overlook. So there's the New Bates Wilson campground. I'm at that intersection and I'm turning right. And I'm taking that one way back to the one way that we passed. And then I'll push my bike back up and down Elephant Hill. Okay, the normal route up this bit of incline is to the left, where you see a lot of the black tire marks. But if you can believe it, there are people who apparently go up here. Some, I would suggest, not successfully, since there's a lot of oil or rear end fluid or transmission fluid draping that hill, along with the scratch marks and the tire burns. Just came down through there. And now we'll go down through there. Haven't seen anybody on this trail at all. I'm hoping that there'll be some of the four-wheelers on that Elephant Hill, but I don't hear the roar of engines, so maybe not. Okay, back to the one-way intersection. And now, back to Elephant Hill and the climb up and over. My last shot in Canyonlands is Wooden Shoe Arch. In fact, one could almost say, looking at that, it's the arch of Wooden Shoe.